rated M for mature.
Max Payne.
Just another day at the office, huh?
Sao Paulo, Brazil.
You're in the jungle now.
Far from home.
I ain't a cop no more.
Armed. Addicted to painkillers, and that's just the beginning. Tonight, Rockstar Games, the creators of Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption, present an exclusive look at Max Payne 3.
Lock yourself in.
From the evolved third-person bullet-time gunplay to the addictive multiplayer, find out how Max Payne reinvents the genre by blending Rockstar's trademark storytelling with blockbuster-worthy action. And discover how Rockstar brings it all together.
We're using a lot of editing techniques that haven't been done in video games before.
We're jumping time forward very aggressively.
The music to the actors, the research to the writing, and of course, the gameplay. This is GTTV Presents Max Payne 3. Hey, I'm Jeff Keighley, and with me is Rockstar's VP of Product Development, Geronimo Barrera, and tonight we are talking Max Payne 3. We haven't seen Max as a character in almost a decade, and Rockstar's done, amazing games over the years, from new Grand Theft Autos to Red Dead Redemption. Why was now the right time to bring back Max Payne?
We decided about 4 years ago that we wanted to bring Max and put him into modern day and bring together all the technology that we have, our open world sensibilities, into the most amazing, over-the-top, third-person action shooter.
All right, Rob Nelson, you are art director at Rockstar Games. When you guys first, sat around the table and said, what do we want to do with Max Payne 3? What were the goals?
I think we wanted to explore his character and see what would he do next.
He basically killed everybody in New Jersey and New York, and there wasn't much left to do.
To push his character and learn more about him, he had to leave. We picked Max up several years after we last saw him at the end of Max Payne 2, and he's a pretty broken man with not a lot to live for and not much idea what to do with himself. He's drinking, and he's become addicted to the painkillers.
He runs into a pal of his at the bar, Raul Passos, and Raul says to Max, there's some lucrative work down in Brazil doing some private security work.
I can get you work, Max. Work that only a guy like you can do.
I ain't a cop no more.
He works for Rodrigo Bronco, who's a very rich businessman.
Wake up, Max. The boss wants to see us.
So Max is, a lost man. You needed to find somewhere else to take him. How did you pick Brazil as the place to put Max?
Sao Paulo is a very interesting place.
It's a giant city. It's bigger than New York. There's a real juxtaposition between the extremely wealthy and the extremely poor. We thought that it would really give us room to explore Max's character.
They ain't gonna make this easy for us, are they?
So tonight we're showing the first footage ever of this nightclub level, and Max takes the wife of the man he works for to this club, and something happens, right?
Yeah, he's escorting Fabiana Branco and Fabiana's sister Giovanna to a nightclub, and all hell breaks loose.
Max, I was speaking to you.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I was saying we get to do a lot of scrapes, man.
Well, we're still here.
Hey.
Thanks to you, Max. I owe you my life.
Saúde. Vambora. Hey, festona.
Good luck.
Your table, nothing but the best.
This kind of place made me want to puke. I needed a real drink to deal with the electronic music and the robotic people.
Say, Max, you're a man of the world. What are you doing, man?
About what?
What do you do about life?
Look at me, I'm standing in a nightclub, listening to music I can't stand. I'm 5,000 miles from home, I'm armed, and I'm drinking. You don't want to listen to advice from me, amigo.
Oh, Max, I love you, man. You're real,
Thank God he had left. A minute more of his drivel and I would have had to put a bullet in him myself. It soon turned out I wasn't the only one.
Your goal with this game really has been to, create this kind of blockbuster action, but also imbue it with that great Rockstar storytelling and narrative.
Just want my wife back.
Obviously, there's an amazing story, amazing presentation. In the first couple games, there was a lot of dream sequences.
Walking the red lines, I remember them well.
In Max Payne 3, we've sort of taken that formula, but it's become his reality. He's basically in a daze. And so we wanted to portray this to the character by the way that we tell the story. And we tell the story as a flashback. And we don't necessarily tell it in chronological order.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about the kind of pace of this game.
Everything flows very natural.
We try to really run you straight through the scenes back into gameplay.
We're using a lot of editing techniques that haven't been done in video games before.
We're jumping time forward very aggressively.
Not only bringing up real-time comic book panels at certain moments in cutscenes, but also in the gameplay.
I knew this was going to be a bad idea.
It really becomes indistinguishable between a cutscene and the gameplay.
When this mission continues, I'll reload and go guns blazing with more never-before-seen footage. And a familiar voice is back again.
I had to do some crazy stuff.
This is GTTV Presents Max Payne 3. Max Payne is nothing without the classic rugged noir monologues.
They ain't gonna make this easy for us, are they?
But this time, Rockstar had a new challenge for the man behind Max. Part of Max is the voice, James McCaffrey, and he's back for Max Payne 3, right?
Yeah, no, he's absolutely back, and we actually modeled his face.
We looked at James and thought, he actually is a good look for Max Payne, because we're not just capturing the actor's motion when we're doing the cutscene, we're capturing their facial animation and their audio.
You stay in your office, lock yourself in.
It is great to have you back as Max.
Pleasure to be here.
So James, for this game, you didn't just do voiceover like the first two games. You actually, performed the role on a soundstage. Those performance capture sections were directed by Rod Edge from Rockstar. What was that like?
When I first started doing the voice, I just thought it was a great character and had great dialogue. This has great character, great dialogue, great story, great locations. I'd arrived in Sao Paulo a few weeks before. Working with Rod gave me the confidence to just be his Max. He would sometimes act out the scene. If it was jumping off a balcony or 30 feet onto a mat.
30 feet off a mat, you were doing that kind of stuff?
I wouldn't do it until Rod did it, and I'm telling you, he did it.
So you were doing stunt work on this game?
I was doing some of the stunt work. There was a whole team of stunt guys doing the harder stuff.
Didn't have to shave your head, though, like Max does in the game, right?
I almost did. I mean, they had the razor there and everything.
So that scene where he's actually shaving his head, that was actually you, like, on a soundstage?
In front of a sink with a razor.
Did you do the shoot dodge? Because you always see Max, like, jumping.
I had to do a few of those jumps with
This is like an
the
action
guys.
movie for you,
It was
right?
an action movie. I had to do some crazy stuff.
What excites you guys about doing a shooter like this? The shooting genre is really competitive. What did you want to do here with Max Payne?
We wanted to give the player the ability to pretty much do anything they want to do in the environment while getting into these gunfights.
Tie into this sort of original inspiration for the Max games, which is the Hong Kong action stuff where guns are everywhere and you pick them up and you use them until you need them, and maybe instead of reloading a clip, you throw it away and you grab another one.
We had to really take a look at how we handled bullet time.
Bullet time is a central mechanic, central focus in the development, and it's a lot more than just sort of slowing down time.
Everything has to hold up in slow motion, whether it's how he fires the gun mechanisms, his coat flapping in the wind, every little detail needed to be addressed.
And dual wield, of course, which is a big part of Max Payne, right?
Yeah, dual wield is back. His magic pockets are gone, and so if you want to dual wield, you can't carry the rifle. So if you're running along with a rifle, you could have two handguns in your holsters. If you want to pull them both out, you'll chuck the rifle away and pull the handguns out.
We even have something called last man standing, which means that if you still have painkillers in your inventory and you're shot and killed, we give you the opportunity to shoot the person that shot you to come back to life.
Instant vengeance.
Instant vengeance.
And if you can kill him, you live to fight on a little bit longer.
You got some great action sequences in that nightclub level where it's like, you crash through, you go through the club, then you're on the rooftop, then you get in the helicopter. The enemies are coming in, you're moving.
Hanging off the bottom of a helicopter.
That's the ultimate action moment everyone wants, right? There's also a great sense of movement to this game. One of the challenges with any action game, especially in third person, is like creating the animations so you feel like there's action happening, but you're always in control.
We needed to have pixel-perfect controls in order to make the shooting exciting. We wanted the player to have that control that you usually find in first-person shooters.
You can shoot dodge any direction from whatever way you're running and you're facing. His feet will line up. And if you keep pegging the stick, he'll get up and scramble on in the direction that you were going while you're still able to shoot so that you never feel like you're out of control. If things are so heavy that you don't want to get up, you can just stay there on the ground and you can swing around 360 degrees and take out your foes from there.
Now you have cover in the game that Max can use. You've got, melee. You've got, you really have to plot out your strategy.
We really wanted this to be a game that lots of different people could play.
We wanted to have the player have as much control as possible. So I might shoot dodge out of cover. I might vault over the cover. I might sneak around the cover. So it's just an amazing amount of control for players.
Max has some friends that are dying to see him. Well, more likely they'll be dying when they do see him. We'll meet them next as we continue our journey through this exclusive chapter. This is GTTV Presents Max Payne 3. From Max's inner thoughts to a symphony of bullets, the interactive score was enhanced when Rockstar brought in a band named Health, innovators in noise rock. All right, I've made it here to Rockstar Games headquarters in New York City and their sound booth, where I'm hanging out with Yvonne. You're the director of music on all Rockstar games, and once again, you guys have created an amazing soundscape. How do you think about music in those action moments when there's so much going on?
How we work is we have them create interactive stems. Sometimes stems are one instrument, sometimes they could be multiple instruments. Different combinations of stems create different moods. If there's a gang of enemies who show up, maybe we'll add a bass line. As you get deeper into that level, we'll throw some Brazilian percussion on top of it to make it even more intense. As you're progressing, you're adding and removing stems to support what Max is going through.
You know what's around the corner, and then
you know it's around the corner, and we're leading the player there.
Tell me about Health. I mean, how did you know about these guys? How did you find these guys?
We needed somebody who kind of had certain sounds. We were kind of missing guitar sounds, heavy drums that we really kind of needed to push the action.
The same energy and emotion that these guys have on stage is exactly what you hear in the score. Right. This is a live band creating real music using live instruments. The important part is that it captures the soul of the game.
Okay.
It's completely dynamic and anticipates what the player is going to do. Same way that you walk away from a concert with kind of a buzz and a tingle is the way that you'll walk away after you play this game.
This was a hell of a hangover.
Another group you're working with is Trouble and Bass. They did some, I guess, original kind of mixes for the nightclub level that we're showing off tonight.
They did an original DJ mix, and we're just really excited to be working with them. And I think that Trouble and Bass really just captures the energy of this level of nightclub. We have to give the sound designers a lot of credit. There is so much going on right here. There's Max's inner thoughts, there's his monologue. So much to their credit, they're the ones who are able to find the right balance there. And we work with them to create music that will somehow be able to fit in there between the gunshots somehow,
So let's talk about the guys Max Payne is going to face off against here. He's in Brazil. Who is he fighting against?
Lots of different people. He starts out fighting against some street gangs. One group in particular who is responsible for the kidnapping of Fabiana. And then as he works his way through the game, he encounters different types of enemies.
In New York, you're gonna meet like mafia thugs. Down in Brazil, you're gonna meet everything from the favela thugs to paramilitary elite police squads.
The military police are gonna behave a lot differently than the street gangs.
particularly in the nightclub, we call them the amateur sets. They don't necessarily know how to carry a gun the right way, and they're a bit more ballsy than the Crush of Preta, which is paramilitary.
One thing you're really proud of is sort of how the enemies react.
Most third-person shooters are all scripted. In Max Payne 3, the AI runs independently, and they will basically figure out the best way to try to kill you. Depending on who you're after and how coordinated they are, you'll see things like guys using cover fire to help each other out. They will throw grenades to try to flush you out of cover. They will sneak around and try to get behind you. I mean, they are deadly. It's quite deadly.
Now let's talk about multiplayer, which is something new you guys added to Max Payne 3. Seems like it's been a big focus for you guys, right?
Absolutely. We started developing the multiplayer the same time we started the single player.
The focus that we put on shooting and movement, we felt like if we could bring this into a multiplayer type of gameplay, it would be incredible to give everybody this control.
It's not tacked on. It is story driven, and there's tons of varieties and elements that are going to be familiar to Max Payne fans.
Let's talk about the locations of multiplayer. Some of them will be inspired by the single player missions, like the nightclub tonight. I know there's a mission set on the rooftop of that nightclub. Right?
Absolutely. There's a helipad on top of the nightclub, and it makes for an amazing backdrop for a multiplayer game. Because you're on top of a building, you can see the world around you.
Throw guys off the rail?
Yeah, don't shoot dodge off the building. It's not advised.
Next, we talk gang wars and more exclusive looks at multiplayer when GTTV presents Max Payne 3 concludes. I was almost ready to form my own crew, but before I strapped up, I still had some multiplayer questions that needed answers. So bullet time is obviously a huge part of Max Payne. I think fans wondered when you said we're going to do multiplayer, how are they going to be able to get bullet time to work?
Yeah, we were very proud that we have come up and designed a system that I think is totally unique to multiplayer. Nothing like it has ever been done before. It's a very sophisticated system. The way that it works is by line of sight. So if you and I are in a room together and
I look at you.
You look at me and you pull off bullet time, you're gonna have the advantage because you're the one that pulled it off. The way for me to break out of bullet time is to get out of your line of sight. So if I'm around a doorway, I'm gonna shoot dodge out of the door, and when I can no longer see you and you can't see me, the bullet time goes away.
From behind will it work too, or not?
Absolutely from behind, and it also daisy chains. It's very fun, and it's not obtrusive. I mean, one of the things that people worried about is it was going to be a slow-mo fest. Not at all. First of all, not everybody's going to go into a game with bullet time. Bullet time is part of the burst system. You have to pick to bring it into a game with you.
And there are other bursts?
There are other bursts. There's ones like Paranoia or Sneaky, where you can turn your gamer tag to look like you're on the same team as your opponents.
Let's talk about the different types of games you can play in MP. Because of course you've got deathmatch, and they've got some really interesting modes, and one of the ones I'm most excited about is Gang Wars, which is this sort of the idea of putting narrative into multiplayer, right?
No, absolutely. It's framing events with story elements so that they weave dynamically. So every time you play it, it's going to be a little bit different. We will have a narrative. Sometimes it's Max Payne. Sometimes it might be somebody else. It basically tells a story of what's happening in the gang wars. Let's say you're just a badass player. We might decide, hey, make him an assassination target, and we have this whole story built up about how we're going to turn things on you. What we wanted to do was give variety in game types and not necessarily lock the player into one type of game. So within a course of the gang wars, you might have standard deathmatch, but then you'll have to detonate a bomb somewhere or defend a base. It just gives a lot of variety, and it keeps things fresh and unique.
We've also got this mode called Painkiller, which is really interesting.
The first person to kill somebody turns into Max Payne, the second person turns into Raul Passos, and then the goal is to try to beat Max as long as you can. It sounds simple, completely addictive. It's a very robust multiplayer. Not only do you gain experience from kills and looting corpses, you earn cash, you upgrade weapons, you unlock not only the bursts like bullet time, paranoia, sneaky, you also can modify your avatar by buying bulletproof vests, medical kits, radios, sutures. I mean, there's a lot there.
You've also got this idea of crews, which will allow people to go online to the Rockstar Social Club.
That's correct.
Set up your crew, get ready for Max Payne 3 multiplayer, design an emblem, create a name, and those crews you use in multiplayer for this game are going to work in GTA 5 too?
That's correct. You know, we're very excited about the crews. We think it's really the next generation of multiplayer. Not only do you get to play with your friends, basically they come along with you from game to game, but you can also then build rivalries against other crews.
We set out to make the best shooter that we could make.
The most fully fulfilled third-person shooter.
It exceeded my expectations. Remaining true to the spirit of the original games.
We never really take you out of the moment. Nothing like it has ever been done before.
I think people will be impressed with it.
And that's just a glimpse at the world of Max Payne 3. You guys can see more when it hits stores on May 15th. I'm Jeff Keighley, and this has been GTTV Presents Max Payne 3.